We're here on this is our inaugural podcast for the Al Heron Talks podcast. Yeah, all right. Yeah. So we've got the podcast rolling, and I have the setup here for those who are hearing about our podcast for the very first time. Is that what we wanted to do was create something that people can listen to and that they can be entertained, educated, and encouraged, right? And hopefully we at least do one of those things at each episode. But the intent is to do all three. Nobody wants to listen to a boring podcast or anything like that. So we want to be entertaining, but we also want at the end of the podcast, someone feels like they learned something, they've been encouraged, they've added a skill.
Better forward.
Yeah, there you go. That's what we want. So, and that's the subject. And today, I want to introduce a couple of people. So, first, let me start with Marcella. Marcella is our producer. So she's handling the board and handling the edits and all that good stuff. So that finished product that you hear is all because of Marcella. And I don't say Marcella's last name because it gets kind of complicated. But y'all know who Marcella is, right? Right. She's the guru behind the scenes, and of course we have riding shotgun with us. Hopefully she'll be doing it with us for a while. Is Miss Benita Love, who is one of the outstanding agents at Monument Realty. So if you have any real estate needs, you might want to reach out to this young lady. She's outstanding. So we'll make sure you have her contact information. But what we want to do on these shows, we will always have a guest that we'll bring in. And so sometimes there'll be people that you've heard of. Today it's not, it's probably our number, when we're trying to figure out who we want on the first show. And so we probably had a list of about 10 people that, if we can get them, that'd be cool. But so Johnny's probably number 37. Nah, just kidding. No, we like Johnny.
You kind of kidding.
Yeah, Johnny Collins is one of those cats that if you have the opportunity to meet him, and especially if you are a business person, aspiring business person, somebody trying to do something substantial in the world of business, he is an entrepreneur's entrepreneur. This cat right here has been able to build a title companies under his company umbrella, and has done exceptionally well in a field that is not necessarily kind to everybody who jumps in and tries to build something like this. And Johnny has community national title here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, but he also has places outside of here as well. We'll let him introduce himself in just a minute. But the reason we wanted him today is because there are a few people that I know, people that are accessible, I should say. You'll hear people on podcasts, on television, and things like that. But Johnny is one of those guys that's accessible. I can reach Johnny. And we've struck up a good friendship over the years. And the cool thing about Johnny is Johnny will tell you like it is. There's not much in the way of a filter. And he'll just kind of get straight to it. And he has the ability, almost like one of those great firms out there that does a lot of consulting of Fortune 500 companies. Well, he'll do that with you without having to be a Fortune 500 company. He will sit down with you, share some of his, kind of how he sees it, his insights, and then we'll kind of hold you accountable. We want you to make sure that what you guys talked about, you're working on trying to implement that stuff and be better. And at the end of the day, he wants to see everybody, mostly everybody win. And so we want to, I'm gonna let him say a few things about himself, introduce himself real quick, and then we'll get started. So, Mr. Collins, you want to introduce yourself, if you can do a little better than what I did, a little more.
You just introduced me. Matter of fact, I sent you a cash app while you No, but my name is Johnny Collins. I'm a partner with the Ebony Mitzvah companies. Ebony Mitzvah owns a handful of title agencies across Texas, and currently venturing into some other states across the country. So, it's been a good run. And I think Al only told half the story. in his introduction. Al and I have a very unique and similar background, as we are both second generation real estate kids. Now, Al is a little bit further away from being a kid than I am, but we both share that, and I personally feel like we're both better because of it. So
No doubt.
I can't let you off the hook or let your father, Mr. Herring. We got to give him a little love always. So thank you for having me on, man. I feel special now. I don't know if I realized it was the inaugural. This is awesome.
Yeah. You're kicking this thing off, man. And so, and before we get started, I like to always kind of talk about, what's happening in the world. Last night we had the Grammy Awards, and
history was made as well.
History was made. All right. So it sounds like you're happy about that history, Benita. What history was made?
I'm like Issa Rae. I'm always, rooting for black people. So. Beyonce now holds the title of having the most Grammys of any other person. She won her 32nd Grammy last night.
Very good. That was very impressive.
Yes.
32nd Grammy. And how old is Beyonce? Is she 40? She's 40.
She might be 40. I'm not sure. She might be 40.
Yeah. That's amazing. That's a lot happening in a very short window. That 32 Grammy Awards. That's a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
Johnny, did you watch the
I watched a little bit of it, then I switched over to 60 Minutes.
Okay. So, but you're not old, right?
I'm closer to your age.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, 60 Minutes. It was great too.
Nah, that sounded like you recorded 60. 60 Minutes came on before the Grammy, so that means you record. You go around recording.
You know what?
60
You're
minutes.
right. No, I watched 60 Minutes first, and then I watched it up until the point in which Beyonce won her first Grammy, but was not able to receive it. I think Dream and the other gentleman. What was the musician?
Niles Rodgers.
I knew you would know who that was.
See,
Age. But and then my wife bought tickets to go see Ali Sadiq back in January, and right after Beyonce didn't show up, I looked over at her and I said, what's tonight? Ali Sadiq. She's like, oh my God, and jumped up, and we rushed over to the place, and that was my night.
Had a good
That
time.
was awesome.
Yeah, Ali Sadiq is good.
Yeah, off the chain. Like I love him. He's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of good jokes were told.
Yeah, I saw him back on my birthday, August 3rd. My wife got us tickets, and we went, and I actually became kind of part of the show at one point when he was talking about being a little more mature, and he was talking about how once you get to a certain age, you can't just be in a place just sipping on just drinking water and all that, because you're going to have to get up. You're going to have to, you won't be able to make the whole show. You're going to have to get up and go use the bathroom. So he was talking about, these young cats can do that. They can just drink. And he got quiet and just looked over at me. He said that this cat right here, he going to just be sipping on his water to make sure he can make the show.
That's funny.
So, but no, I like Ali Sadiq a lot. So good deal. So one of the things that I noticed about the Grammys, Beyonce, of course, did not win Album of the Year, and I think we were anticipating that she would. Either she or
who won it?
Harry Styles.
Oh yeah. You know what? I think I saw that.
Yeah. Harry Styles. Harry Styles, and I'm a little old. I'm past 51, but I actually appreciate that cat. I actually like his music, at least what I've heard on the radio anyway. So I wasn't mad when people out there like, he stole it from Beyonce. Well, I didn't steal it. A lot of.
There were some good deserving nominations.
Yeah. Are you a Lizzo fan? Did you like Lizzo?
I'm a Lizzo fan.
I'm a Lizzo fan too.
Yeah, I'm a Lizzo fan.
I want to say something slick just then, but then I was like, I like Lizzo too. Lizzo dope.
Okay.
You wanted to say something slick and then you changed your mind?
About her being a Lizzo fan. And I was like, I'm a Lizzo fan too. I think he's up on that. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Yeah. Lizzo's great. I love Lizzo. I love her confidence, everything she exudes. She dope.
Yeah. I like Lizzo too. Yeah, not as much as
Beyonce.
but
I tell you what I was a bit maybe the word is perplexed. The first young lady, I know her wife and her children introduced her.
Oh, Carlisle. Carlisle? Is that the brand?
Whatever her name is. I mean, she's apparently amazing.
She is. Country artist, I think, or at least.
They introduced because she performed, right?
Yeah.
I thought that was awful. Me personally. I thought it was awful.
Yeah, I was like, who? That's
You thought the
was
performance
cooking.
was
I thought it was awful.
Yeah,
Wow.
I kind of tuned out. I started cooking.
But I think what it shows us is there are a ton of different
yeah.
genre. I mean, there's some dope people, and they're
Sure.
dope in their own ways. And
Right.
just because I
Right.
didn't like it,
Yeah.
who cares? She's there, she won, and she's amazing apparently. So
Yeah.
you got to respect her artistry. So God
Okay.
bless.
That's true.
I
That's
just
true.
went to the other room.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought it was good. I thought she was good. I
I
think
kind of
she's good.
anticipated you.
I did.
Yeah.
Did you really?
It's kinda,
Another
Interesting.
thing with Lizzo, when she accepted her speech, I forgot what award she won. She, definitely gave her props to Beyonce. And she was like, I've always admired you. And, when I was in 7th grade, I snuck out of school to go to your concert. You could tell Beyonce, like, really, really appreciated you.
Yeah, and Adele has said the same thing
Mhm,
about
yeah.
it. So
Yeah.
Adele, and so that's influence, right?
Right.
Beyonce is amazing in that she can influence people in such a way, and that really, for anybody who's trying to do anything, almost in any field, any walk of life, influence is so powerful.
Absolutely.
People think money is the thing. Influence gets you money, so you can get as much money as you want to if you have that level of influence. So the key is influence, and so that actually takes us right into kind of what we're going to be talking about today. We, as people in real estate
Sure.
and mortgage and things like that, we spend a lot of time chasing business, right? Especially when you first get into the industry, because the people don't know you yet, right? They don't know what you do, and so you have to, for lack of a better term, chase the business. You have to go find it. And so I kind of equate the two. So when you find it, you're chasing the business. That's what I'm saying there. And that's cool. That's what you have to do. It's a necessity. In fact, it's a necessity throughout your career to a certain extent, but it should lessen. You shouldn't have to keep chasing forever, right? What needs to happen at the same time that you're out there chasing, you need to find also a way to make yourself attractive to those that you want to get business from. And so once that attraction is there, business then will come to you, and you won't burn yourself out. You won't leave the business prematurely because you're like, I can't keep chasing after this stuff. So ultimately, you want stuff coming to you. And when we think about the Grammys and all those great artists that were in that room, all those people who were winners or at least nominated, there's a whole lot more of them outside who will never be there. There's a whole lot of them waiting tables right now, waiting for their big break and doing all these other kind of things. And so one of the questions I have for you all, Benita and Johnny, because I think if this question can be answered, there's a lot of people in a whole lot of different careers that can see some rapid advancement if they could answer this question. So tell me why right now in Hollywood you got Denzel Washington and you got about maybe 1,000 other people who might be as good as, if not better than Denzel, but they're waiting tables in LA.
Actually, I kind of had the same conversation last night. My cousin, he was talking about he knew somebody that he had to take a break from the Grammys because he had a friend that I guess premiering on a movie on Lifetime.
Okay.
He didn't know what Lifetime. He was like, "Do you know what's Lifetime?" I had to, tell him.
Now what station that where I can find it? What number is that?
What Lifetime was, but he tuned in. But he was saying basically, she just had moved. She had just moved to LA, and he's like, yeah, it's Lifetime, but she already has a role. And I was like, she's probably when she moved out there, she already knew she had to go make connections. She knew you had to go talk to people. You can't just go to LA and expect it to come to you, or just go on auditions and maybe you'll find a role. You got to go make the connections, go talk to people, go to events, make yourself known. So I think that's...
Well, isn't that chasing the business? Isn't that kind of what we were talking about initially? That's what...
It's chasing the business initially. You got to have that hunger. But once you're out there networking and making yourself known to people, you're showing up in events and, making yourself known, who is she? I know somebody that's looking for this, or I can connect you to this person for this role or whatever. So, yeah, you're chasing the business initially, but you're setting yourself up to have it come to you.
So let's go into that a little deeper, though. So I doubt that she's the only one who's gone to
True.
Hollywood and done those exact things that you're saying. In fact, I think most are told to go to Hollywood and do that, or go to Nashville or seeking a record label contract or something like that. I think everybody kind of has the same outline as to what they're supposed to do. But for some people, it happens. And for the majority, it doesn't. So I think if we were able to, in just this little small time that we have on this podcast, if we were able to answer the question as to what was done differently for those that did make it versus those that didn't, then we could do it ourselves. There's a lot of money to be made. We need to be consultants for some folks. But I think there is an answer there. There's an answer that I think if people learn that answer and then work to realize whatever that answer is, I think there's a big difference, because I don't think it's all luck, right? I don't think it's this person was just lucky. There is some luck involved, I guess, if you believe in luck. But in my opinion, there is something that makes it to where Joe makes it when everybody else didn't. So Johnny, what do you think that is? And so I'm using music, I'm using acting, but this is the same for somebody who's trying to be a rock star real estate agent. Or,
Sure, any aspect of anything. I think it's a plan. So I never looked at it as chasing. For me personally, I always knew that I was going to win. We started off with a plan, and every step was just a part of the plan. So even when there was failure, well, we understood that a part of the plan, you had to be prepared for failure, right?
So you did you know that, or did you learn that, right? Because I think most people, failure for most people sometimes is a stop sign.
Well, let me answer that. I have the benefit of being an athlete in my former life.
That's right. TCU Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
In fact, track star. Do you want to talk about TCU a little bit? Maybe the national championship game, or no?
Oh.
I love your parents too much for me to answer that question. Yeah, we got beat up pretty bad, but that's another conversation for another day. But even that was an L. That was a complete and utter just drubbing. Just got drove. Well, I've taken a few, whoopings myself, and I'm better for it. And I always say that when you understand that, the process of success is really where the value is, that's the first step. Unfortunately, we usually don't learn that until we get on the other side of it. So going back to your question, I never looked at it as chasing. I always looked at it as just a part of the process. Some of my most miserable days, or miserable moments, I should say, when I was an athlete, were standing on the podium, first place, national championships, conference championships, those were some of my most miserable moments, because the people, mainly my father, was not there to share it with me. You understand? But when I look at some of the most joyous moments, it was the process. It was, it was when I was a junior in high school, I ran track and I made it to state. And it was an unbelievable story. I get to state and get dead last. And I mean like TCU Georgia dead last.
Oh wow, that's last.
This is back when you had the flash cameras. I was counting bulbs as I was coming in. I mean, it was tough, right? And I never forget, after I crossed the finish line, I remember this like it was yesterday. I walked over, there was this wall. I sat down up against the wall, and I just sat there. My father taught me very early on that the more you live, you'll have real things to cry about. So we don't cry over sports.
Right.
So I didn't cry, but I was embarrassed. My feelings was hurt. I had 934,317, my family members in the stands. And so it was, it wasn't. My father walked up like he just magically appeared out of nowhere. He walked in and said, "Hey, son, you still got a home to come to." He said, "You okay?" I said, "I think so." He said, "Oh, boy, get up. Let's go get a steak." I said, all right. And we went and did that, right? And we didn't talk about it. Like, not at all. It wasn't until maybe a week later where he said, well, how you feel? And I told him, he said, well, what went wrong? I said, I went out too fast. He said, you dadgum right you went out too fast. My point is, those lessons in life taught me how to handle failure. So in business, you telling me no, okay, God bless. It's 9 million of y'all. You know what I mean? I know how to go next door. And what I always say is, you know, when you have something, to give, when you have some value, when you know, have some type of abundance that you can share with people, somebody's going to tap into it. And it's just up to us to make sure we keep doing the work to make sure we tap into those folks. I love Denzel. That's actually my favorite actor ever. I think the difference between Denzel and most people is not the fact that he made it and got a shot. It is his longevity.
Right.
It is his longevity. It is his ability. If you know, Denzel has had 2 movies. I can't even tell you the name of them in the last, you know, couple of years. I watched them. They weren't great, but I loved them because I love the artistry of what Denzel brings to the table. It's no longer about the movie. It's Denzel. Hey, I'm gonna go watch Denzel. That's what I do. So I think it's important that you build a brand that's so, you know, just dynamic to where it becomes about you. And we had a conversation earlier. The next place of that about that is if you're doing right, you'll build a hierarchy and you'll build a tree of secondary people who are mimicking you and doing the same thing and having the similar successes as you've had. I think, you know, I think that's important. But I hope I answered your question.
Yeah.
I think it's about the work and just the process of it, not so much just, you know, just ta-da, I'm here.
Right. Yeah. And I think
we had a lot of ta-das in the last 2 years in the real estate business.
Listen, and in this market we're in right now, it's gonna show you who the. Right. So yeah, you had a lot of
just biting ears now.
Yeah, you know, one hit wonders. You had a lot of people that year is gonna turn out to be kind of a one hit wonder type thing. What was my man? I always feel like somebody's watching me. Who was a Rockwell? Remember Rockwell? We had a lot of Rockwells back then, right? And
man, you're like an almanac.
Yeah, but y'all too young. Vanita, you too young for.
I know the song.
You know the song. I always feel like somebody's watching me. Marcella, you know that? Yeah. Well, that was Barry Gordy's son. Okay. And he called himself Rockwell, even though he was singing with a British accent. But the song was made because Michael Jackson was in the background. Kind of helped it out. Michael was on the hook.
That was yeah.
Right. So, but we ain't hear from that cat anymore. He had that one big hit and probably made a nice little piece of change on it. They're still on the radio now. You'll hear it every now and then. But, you know, the conditions were right for him to be able to make that. But a person who's able to have that longevity, like you're talking about Denzel Washington, there's a whole nother skill set there that somebody has to have to be able to sustain. And that usually is somebody getting better at their craft. But at the same time, there's a whole lot of people that are really good. There's a lot of people that's just as good an actor as Denzel, right? But they don't get, I don't want to say the shot, but they don't become Denzel.
Well, you know why, right? Because Denzel not giving up his throne. You think Beyonce is the dopest singer in the room?
Nah.
I got 12 people in my family that can out-sing Beyonce.
Okay,
right?
So go tell her, who are they? Who you got?
I name them, but I don't want to embarrass them. This is my point. Her ability to keep reinventing herself and the grind, the work that she puts in, that's the beauty of it. I mean, who's out working Beyonce?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Oh, you know what I'm saying?
Listen, and then every time when she comes back, and you know, she'll go away for a minute and come back, kind of reinvented herself, that whole homecoming thing when she came back and killed it at Coachella.
But didn't have to.
Correct.
She didn't have to.
Correct.
Like just the forward thinking, like she's always on offense. She has a very proactive approach versus reactive.
Correct.
I love it.
And I think what you said about like your failures and your lessons, a lot of people, they have failures, like you said, and they just stop. They quit. You gotta understand. I always look at failures as a good thing because, like you said, you turn those L's into lessons.
Yeah.
into learning moments. And some people, you get that failure, you just quit, you give up. And even I'm sure Beyonce, Denzel, whoever, you may not publicly know about them. They've had failures, but they just keep going.
No, we've seen some of Denzel's movies. They were failures.
Right.
You know, we've heard. You know, Beyonce haven't had a lot of failures.
Yeah.
She's no Bruno Mars,
Mm-hmm.
but I mean, she done had a few. You know,
Oh yeah, listen.
but she has crushed it. Like when Beyonce drops something now, no matter if it's good or bad, her repertoire, her legacy is so dynamic that if it's a bad song, the Beehive gonna beat you up. And they're gonna say it's great.
Right.
Like, that's what we all working
Absolutely.
for. You know, I want to get to the place to where my product is not extraordinary, and people still treat it like it's a, you know, Rembrandt. Like it's just
Right.
that's amazing.
Kind of like Stevie Wonder.
Boy, you know,
Because y'all, and I got in so much trouble behind my opinion about Stevie Wonder. Listen, Stevie Wonder has had some great music.
No, Stevie
But there was a
Wonder
point-
has had some one of ones. Like,
Co-
give him his
I'm sorry. So if I dismiss, if I look like I was diminishing it, no. Listen,
Okay.
Stevie was the dude, right?
Yeah.
But there was probably a point in the middle '80s that it should have been time to hang it up. But we kept making records.
But wait a minute. This
And
is
some of
exactly
those-
what we're talking about.
Well, but I'm saying no,
you
but
want your legacy to be so strong
that it outweighs that
even
trash
when you
that
on
you.
the decline,
And he
they
was on the
still
decline.
calling you.
Yeah, yeah,
That is what it is.
yeah. Yes, Stevie Wonder. Again, so when we go, let me not do that. We won't do the overrated list today. But I like Stevie a lot. Like I didn't like
Actually-
like I
We're
didn't.
gonna fight if you say Stevie.
Well, I didn't
Wonder
need to
is
see. I didn't
overrated.
need to see. I did not need to see Stevie last night at the Grammys or Smokey.
Smokey was dope, man.
now
That
wait a-
tuxedo was right.
Yeah, but Smokey, he scares me a little bit because he looks like he might not even be alive.
He doesn't age. He looks exactly the same. He looks.
Well, but
No,
he's
that's
too.
not fair.
Smokey Robinson was one of the best looking people in the
He
room
is.
last night.
He was.
Okay. If you say so. But look, again,
A part of my process, I've learned how to compliment, even when maybe compliments are not due.
oh, okay.
And I think that's a part of the value that we have to get really good at giving, right?
Sure.
Because if you told the truth during every sales encounter or every, you know, the process of building a relationship with somebody that you know has a $500,000, $1 million, you know, listing for you. If you told the truth, you know, they want to list their house for $12 billion. If you told them the truth, you know, it's not going to get you very far. So you learn how to be diplomatic and love on people. You know? It's not Stevie Wonder's music, it's his hair. That was the bigger problem. And he's finally come to grips with that. Like, but that was the issue, you know?
Yeah, when your hairline, it starts at the crown of your
The
head.
back of your ears.
Right. There's no reason to be having braids and all this stuff.
It's
Right.
tough. And I can't even blame him. It's like, who is this people?
Right, because he can't see it, right?
Yeah, who is this
He
people?
don't know what's going on. So yeah, it's like somebody who could see that should be able to say, hey, dude, this ain't what you want.
But Stevie, I mean, you know, people don't realize Stevie owns a radio station. I mean, Stevie is just amazing. He's a phenomenal businessman. He one of the best to ever do it. He's
He
just
is.
dope.
That is true. That is
I
true.
met
I
him
just
actually
you met him. Okay.
randomly
Wow.
last year. I was in a restaurant in LA. He was sitting next to the table that I was sitting at. But yeah,
Oh wow. Oh, okay. Believe that. Y'all at a restaurant next to each other, so you
it wasn't
kind
the
of
high end. It was just a little.
It wasn't a high
little
end.
Ethiopian restaurant.
Okay. Cool. That's nice. So Stevie, did you notice? How did he eat as though he could see?
You know what?
Because you know
Stop
Shaq.
it, stop
Yeah.
Listen,
it.
Shaq. Shaq believes that Stevie Wonder
Can
can
see.
see, and I've heard other people say that too.
No, because so I'm right here, and the crazy thing is, I didn't realize he was sitting next to me until about 20 minutes. So, and somebody came up to him and said, "Excuse me, you know, I just want to say how much I love you." And I'm like,
You're like, oh, Stevie.
Right. Anyway, I know he can't see because my friend was sitting across from me, and I don't know, he was drinking some water, so I'm started choking. His wife was beside him. He started choking a little bit, and she was like, "Oh, you know,"
See,
because it
you
almost
really-
came on her.
Yeah, you didn't need to share that. Right. You didn't. You shouldn't have done that. You shouldn't have done that.
I'm sorry.
See, that's, that was supposed to be something you just saw. And you didn't need to say, I thought you were going to tell me that,
Well, yeah.
how he did, but I didn't see. And we sorry about that, Stevie. We're putting your business out there like that. I mean, we all.
Stevie,
I've,
I got your back.
yeah, I've had some water before and choked a little bit.
Yeah, I think that's everybody. That's not
Okay, so
saying
why'd
that.
you make it where he couldn't see? Because he was
Asked me,
choking.
can he see? And I figured if he could see my friend, he wouldn't have, Anyway,
Here's the bottom line. Stevie Wonder
he's
is
great.
so dope.
He is.
Not only does he still get the call, he's going to continue to get the calls.
Oh, for sure.
And I'm going to continue watching. That's all I got.
Okay, well, yeah. Hey, Stevie, that's great. We love Stevie Wonder.
Love Stevie.
But anyway, back to what we were talking about. So, the influence, a person's ability to influence, quite honestly, I think is really the key to their success. So I think if my answer to that question would be, that person who actually made it, the Denzel, the Adele, Beyonce, tremendous skill set, right? Tremendous ability. I think Adele is, we've gone back and forth about Mariah Carey and Adele. I think Adele is a better singer than Mariah Carey. I love the old Mariah Carey.
A better singer?
Oh boy.
Thank you.
No. No. I don't want to get in that argument. I'm just saying I don't think you can really they're
But
different.
yeah, they are different.
Yeah,
They're different
okay.
vocalists.
Yeah, they're
So you
all. Yeah,
can't-
well, they're all different, right? Everybody's
Yeah.
different.
If you just take a body of work, Adele is somewhere down.
Damn.
She's in a third world country.
Oh wow.
And Mariah is doing what she want to do
Right.
in terms of a body of work. I mean, that's not a shot at Adele because she is amazing, right? But people there's not a lot of people, period, in terms of a body of work that can stand beside Mariah Carey, period.
Yeah. Okay.
If you
yeah,
name
yeah.
them, I'm going to say Mariah Carey.
Okay. No.
Then
No.
we're going to Google it and it's going to say Mariah Carey.
Mariah Carey.
Yeah.
Listen, both of y'all are correct. Mariah Carey was when Mariah Carey was at
Have
her
I ever
best.
bought a Mariah Carey album, record?
No.
But you can't deny.
Can't deny.
You can't. And
Can't deny.
The numbers
Have you
are the
seen?
numbers.
When was the last time? Have you seen Mariah Carey perform in live in
can we?
person?
Okay.
Well, no. Let's do this real quick. So let's figure this out because I want other people as they're listening
Man,
to this.
drugs have evolved and stuff, man. It's just different time now, man. Things have just gotten different,
I saw Mariah Carey with Lionel Richie on my birthday,
I was
by
at
the
the
way.
same
About
concert.
you at the same concert?
Yes.
Okay.
In Dallas.
So my wife loved
old are
it.
you?
Great tickets.
I go to a lot of. I
See-
go to New Edition. I go to Charlie Wilson. I'm an old school at heart.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Lionel Richie was amazing,
Mm-hmm.
and Lionel Richie is now 71, 72, somewhere in there. And I think then he may have been like 68, 69. Mariah Carey was also there.
Now, wait. Can I stop you right?
Well, no. Wait. Let me tell you what I saw. I was there, right? And so Lionel Richie has been in the game for a long time. A lot of songs. He didn't have anything up there giving him the words or anything like that. He just performed. But I noticed there were two big monitors when Mariah was on stage
Okay.
with the words scrolling, so she knew the words
Is
to
this
us.
fake news?
And this is not fake news. I'm telling you what I saw.
I don't remember.
Might have pictures of it. And I was so disappointed in what I was seeing of Mariah Carey. Her voice wasn't the same. Of course, that will change sometimes, but the effort wasn't there. I think instead of really dancing around, she had a lot of guys
She's
picking her
never
up.
been a dancer. She's
Well,
not,
not-
a performer.
no.
She's not a performer.
Well, no, and I don't mean like Janet Jackson kind of choreography.
She's
I mean,
never
just-
been a performer. She sings.
yeah. Well, she didn't really do that much that night. She didn't do a lot of singing, and she had a lot of guys pick her up, move her to different places of the stage. And I guess just seeing that, I was like, okay, this is Mariah Carey, right? But what I was seeing, I couldn't give her that top billing anymore, right? Because I was like, this is what you do now. I wouldn't tour if that was going to be how I was going to do now. I'd be done. I wouldn't tour. I wouldn't even do a residency or anything. I just let my music speak for itself. Well, Lionel Richie, put on a show.
He did.
Did put on a show. Was all out show and was amazing. And when we left there, I was thinking, dang, what has happened to Mariah Carey? And I was like, man, that Lionel Richie is the man. Mm-hmm. So to me, when we're talking about, who's the greatest and all that kind of stuff, I just can't.
Aside from that, I'm sure every artist has bad concerts, bad performances.
She has.
So you think
that
Lionel's
happens a
never
lot.
had a
Who?
You think Lionel's never had a bad
Lionel probably has, but I haven't seen.
Okay.
Well, they different people though. Lionel he comes from an era of professionals.
Okay.
It's different. Like
Okay.
you can't compare. Take anybody from the Lionel Richie era and talk about a bad performance. It just didn't happen.
Right.
Like, it just wasn't. It's okay to say Lionel has not had a lot of bad performances.
Correct.
Because he had.
Correct.
You know,
but Mariah has. So
Mariah
we've
been
seen it.
drunk or high
or
or
something.
just-
Exactly.
yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right.
It's just a difference in people. In
Okay.
eras. I believe that.
Okay. So you would. Okay. Very good. So you understand that, Benita? Would you agree
I
that
understand- yes, I
Mariah's
understand
had
that.
some publicly?
She has, but you still
Poor
can't deny her
performances.
greatness and that she's a
And we
amazing
won't.
vocalist.
We won't. I think we all have had some public, issues where we're not necessarily proud of.
Yeah.
At least I have. I
Yeah.
speak for myself,
Yeah.
right? I have.
No, we all. Trust me, I have to.
Yeah.
But again, when trying to talk about the best and who's all that kind of stuff, and y'all putting Adele way down here, and Mariah way up there, I've never.
Well, no. But that's not what I'm doing. They're both starting way up there. There's
Okay.
just levels up there.
I got
Adele,
you.
look,
But
let
I
me
think
tell
you said
something.
third world country is what
Well,
you
in
referenced.
comparison, Adele's body of work in comparison to Mariah Carey's, Adele has what? 8 songs that are just like amazing, right?
It's got more than that.
No. I mean 8 songs that have made some real money. Mariah has like 100. Like it's just different. You know what I mean? It's not a matter of
Mariah
if
has
I
a
had
number one song every year.
Yeah, if
for
I had a
Christmas.
choice.
For Christmas, right?
go-
But that doesn't
But
count.
besides that, how many? I forgot how many. She has the most number ones.
Let me tell you the
most
bigger deal
number
about
ones.
Mariah. Going back to your point. It's about influence. It's about the relationship she made up along the way. I think Mariah played the game different. And I'm not saying it was good. I'm not saying it was bad. I'm just saying she played the game in a way to where she had access that really, allowed her to just get in a different, get in a different vein. Mariah was popping. Folks couldn't believe she was like, how is she doing it?
Right.
And now 20 years later, the body of work is just the body of work. But go back and look who she was married to. Look at her affiliations. I mean, she played the game for keeps.
Okay.
Adele is messing with
Even the remixes too.
Adele doing something else. She's trying to figure it out.
Okay, so we get back to what we were talking about. We'll have to have one of these about that, because just like the Rolling Stones 200 greatest singers, and I thought that Rolling Stone knows some stuff, and then you have 200 greatest singers, and you leave off Celine Dion. Your list is flawed. You got to call into question the whole list. But anyway, back to the difference. Denzel versus everybody else, and putting a plan together to become influential, in my opinion, would be the biggest skill set somebody could develop to make sure that they have an opportunity to become Denzel. So if I'm this struggling actor in Hollywood trying to figure out how I'm gonna break in, so I'm doing all the other stuff. I'm going on auditions and all that other, auditions and meeting the right people, networking and all that stuff. I still have to find a way to distinguish myself enough to where I'm noticed by the right people, to where the right people see me and see somebody who can help them achieve their goals. So in other words, you got a director who knows I got to have the right actor to do this to really blow me up, right? You got to be attractive as an asset for others.
Well, talk about that, Al. I want to flip it. Talk about
Okay.
that. Talk about your plight and kind of how
Yeah.
you've done it.
So one of the things, and again, we're both in the same situation. I got into real estate with a huge advantage, right? My name was already known because of my dad, and I had wanted to do this forever and a day. So in fact, I joke about it, but it's true. In the first grade, we had an assignment to write a book. Much of a book as a 7-year-old could write.
Was it
right?
on tablets?
Well, it was just like
Stone tablets.
stone tablet. I knew that's where you're going. No, this was actually paper, and they even bound the book and everything, right? And we had to do the book complete with illustrations. And so I had a 12-page book called The Real Estate Man. And on the cover, there was a little stick figure. He had a hat on and a briefcase, and he was walking down the street. So that was supposed to be me. That was my life as I saw it in the future. And I was going to be the real estate man. It's because that's what I was around and saw. And so and I knew as soon as I graduated from college, that's what I was going to do. Got my real estate license and got into the business. I had seen the business up close already. So I developed certain skills and things like that I could utilize, and got pretty successful, partly on the name, but also had to do things a little bit differently. So what I found, though, is I needed to be taken seriously, because the thing that I found I really liked doing was leading others. I liked the day-to-day management of the company, and I liked training and coaching up agents. And so that was 1994 I got in. I'd done a lot in sales, did really good. By 98, I became the office manager to people who were a lot older than me. So I had to
98.
In 1998, yeah. So I was still very young, 98. I was only 27, 26, something like that. But I knew I had to get to a point where everybody understood that my skill set, or the reason I'm in this position, is not because of the name. It was because of what I do, and that I do things a little bit differently than others, and that I do things, as far as I was concerned, better.
There you go. I was Al, you were saying differently. I was in my mind. I was thinking, man, say better.
Yeah.
And let me just say this, and you know me well enough to know that I always give, respect to the legacy that my mother, built, your father built, having, basically their ceiling is our floor.
Sure.
But a whole bunch of jokers had kids that were in the real estate, game back then.
That's
and
true.
their kids are wherever they are.
That's right.
Good,
Right.
bad, and indifferent.
Sure.
And I think there's something to the fact that you've been able to build the way you've built, and the longevity that you've had.
Sure.
And that, people still fighting to pay you some money, and good money, to come in here and give your knowledge. So I just want to make sure we give you, your flowers for that, publicly, because that's significant. And I don't think we do a good enough job of talking about that. So, kudos to you.
Well, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. The big thing I knew I had to do, though, not for self-validation, but I had to be valid to the general public. So I had to think of a way that I was going to stand out from these other folks. And so I had a friend who was a comedian. He's deceased now, but a very good friend. He went by Denzel Snipes, was his stage name. And Denzel, Albert Goldsmith was his real name, but he was actually out there performing as a comedian. I was like, how is this possible? Because he was not funny to me.
Yeah.
I was like, how are you making a living in comedy? And so we went back and forth about it. And he was like, man, dude, if you think you're so funny, why don't you get up and do some stand-up comedy? And so I had already been thinking about, I got to find a way to make a name for myself even outside of this. And so I went back and told some friends that Denzel challenged me to do some stand-up comedy. And he's got a comedy club. He got it all set up. And it got real all of a sudden. So I was kind of scared at that point. I was talking like, oh, yeah, I'll do that. But then when he had it set up, came back to me, dude, it's set up. We're going to do it on
Lights,
such
camera,
night.
action, baby. Yeah.
And I was like, what? So I was like, okay, cool. Yeah, I'm good. I was so scared. I'm not going to tell. I mean, I'm admitting it now. And so I was like, okay, but I got to do it.
Right.
And I got to do it really, really well. I got to show that I could, if I wanted to leave this career and go into stand-up comedy, I would be legit.
Were you as good as me on my first time?
Dude, listen. Y'all, we gonna get back to
I was
that.
there.
We gonna get back. Benita, you were there. So okay. Yeah. So anyway, so what we did, set that up. I invited, I needed to have a crowd of folks that at least supported to kind of laugh, even if I was not funny. But I couldn't bring everybody because some people will come because they want to see the train wreck, right? They like, shoot, we gonna try to do stand-up comedy, gonna have a good time. So, so I kind of limited the number of people I invited. But when we got there that night, that place was packed out, and it felt like everybody I saw, I knew them. I was like, oh man, This is crazy. I'm like, y'all call a fire marshal. There's too many people in here. All these people can't be in this place. And so I have to work my nerves down, and all the other comedians went up. And they had me last. I was like the headline.
You the headline.
Yeah. But
Man, I wish I could have been there.
yeah, you probably just in junior high or something like that.
Yeah, it's pretty young.
Yeah. So anyway, we performed. It went really well.
Yeah.
In fact, my parents and my wife Angela, they didn't say it until after it was over. They were like, "You're really, really good."
Yeah.
They were relieved. They were nervous. They thought this was they thought it was possibly gonna be a disaster. So it went really well, and so I was like, "Okay, we can do this. We can do this." So what we then did, I said, "Okay, now I got to really let's use this." So in Oak Cliff at that time, and still today, but it's changing. Everything was going away. No movie theaters, no restaurants. Everything was
No grocery stores.
yeah. All the stuff just was disappearing.
Drying up.
Right. And so people for entertainment, just to shop, do everything, they had to go out of Oak Cliff, which makes no sense. Oak Cliff, especially the part where I'm talking about. So if you're talking about where I grew up in Wynwood Hills, that part of Oak Cliff, Redbird Lane, Polk Street, Hampton, boxed in there. That's a very solid professional group of people who live there, who had to go all over the place, north, west, for entertainment, anything. And so what I decided to do was, okay, this is how I'm gonna do it. We're going to host a comedy night at the Oak Cliff Country Club, which is now the golf club of Dallas, owned by Oak Cliff Bible Fellowship, by the way. We're gonna host a comedy show here on a regular basis. Let's try to do once a quarter, maybe. So we were doing once a quarter. And we'll bring in 3 really good comedians, and it'll be me. I'll be the host and comedian. And I'll get people to know who I am, kind of create a name for myself.
This is before the internet.
This is
great.
This is
Wait, before the actual internet?
now see how y'all doing. The internet started in the internet. My first AOL account was in '94, so the internet was around, but nothing like nothing.
That was email.
Yeah, that's right. That was just emailing and stuff like that. So you didn't have the social media platforms to really promote it. So what we had to do.
But wait a minute, make sure this young lady understands the internet didn't pop until about 2000, and even then it was still dial up.
I know. I was around then.
Well, I'm just making sure.
You're right. So for those of you who are listening,
A middle school class.
Right, yeah, elementary school.
You talk to the 90s babies.
In the elementary school. Because you were born what?
88.
88. Well,
yeah.
You still.
Well, I'm in that good section where I was around before cell phones and everything. Before I remember all that stuff.
Kind of.
But we did on what we saying in the middle school.
Right. So we had to.
You actually in the best era of technology because you got to.
I got to watch it. Yeah.
Well, you lived it. We got to watch it.
Well,
we had the best seat.
Yeah, you're right.
Right, correct.
I've lived,
You were in it. Yeah.
Right.
Some of us didn't participate in a way in which we should have. That's another
probably
conversation.
still not participating now.
So anyway, what we did, we started marketing. We sent mailers. We used flyers. We did all this stuff for that area that I was really trying to dominate. I was trying to get the office. And the office already dominated in that area, right? We were very dominant there. But I needed to now become the face of our office in the brokerage, right? Not just my dad. And so this was the perfect way to do it. So if I could get all these people to show up on a regular basis.
Were they showing up?
They were showing up. We had, listen, what was so crazy, I think the very first one we did, we may have had like 75 people.
Yeah.
And at the height of it, we were probably having 200 people there.
Were y'all making money on this?
So here's the thing. It wasn't designed to be it should have been. It wasn't really designed to be a moneymaker. It was designed to be a gatherer of people and information. Sure. And we did great with that because the money was made because we did charge. You got to charge for tickets. People don't show up for stuff that's
free.
Right,
that's free, right? Or they don't value it.
Yeah.
That's right. They don't think it's going to be worth anything. So I think we were charging just like $10 a ticket, but And they were coming and paying for it. It was enough for me to pay the comedians and stuff and pay for the venue. But what happened was, during the shows, we would talk about different things, and the comedians kind of knew what stuff I wanted them to talk about. And real estate became a thing where they joked about people who were, driving big cars but still renting where they lived and all this stuff. And one woman talked about how she jumped out of a car. The dude had a fancy car, and they were headed back to his apartment. She jumped out the car, moving car. She didn't want any parts of that. At the end of every show, or by that Monday, I would get emails from people saying, "Hey man, we want to talk about getting that process started. We want to buy a house. We want to do that." We closed so many houses from doing those shows, more than what we were doing from home buyer seminars.
Well, you know what? Here's the deal. I got to switch the flow up, because you and I were talking about bringing this back.
Well, listen, we've been talking about bringing it back for a minute.
Muhammad overheard it, and they went and did it on their own.
And they did a good job with it, too. My understanding
They
is,
did
anyway.
a great job.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
Right.
I won't even lie.
Right,
I want to hate.
Yeah, but
And I
you can't.
still can hate a little bit.
But they did a good job.
Them jokers knocked it out the park. So we need to go on and make that happen, man.
So, and what it did for me is it gave me a lot of influence in those places. There were so many people who showed up who then introduced me and opened doors for me to other places that I didn't have access to at first. And then it made me valid. All of a sudden, we had all these transactions that were happening because of this. We were even on the news. We were on TV about this because people weren't doing that. And they were like, hey, this person decided trying to close the gap of home ownership through comedy was a didn't seem like
you were
it.
actually meeting a couple of needs. I mean, you were bringing entertainment to an under entertained area.
Correct.
And addressing people's home ownership needs. That was huge, man.
Yeah.
You know what, you kind of on to something, man. You kind of dope. I mean,
So anyway, reluctantly, that's what I get from him. But
Trailblazer.
so it worked out, and it got it was very popular. And to this day, there's a group of ladies who work at Target. There's a Target there in Oak Cliff is that Wheatland. They came to every show. And so if I go in there and one of them is there, they bring it up like it was yesterday. They're like, hey, when you bring it up? I was like, it's been a decade
Like
since
you
we've been
said,
doing
they
it.
want
you know what? Let me tell you something. There is a concept in sales, and I won't go too deep into this, but it's really about providing an experience.
Mm-hmm.
And when you do it extremely well, you provide an episodic experience, right? So it's just, I mean, we're doubling down on the fact that you guys did something really special, and you were able to help people capture moments.
Absolutely.
They just won't
Right.
they won't forget, man. I
Yeah.
think that's amazing.
Listen, it was cool. Now, here's what's stupid about it. We did that probably for 2-3 years or so. And I got busy. We got really successful. And we stopped doing it, which is the dumbest thing ever.
That's okay though.
Huh?
That's okay though.
Well, but here's what I'm saying. So, and that happens to a lot of people. A lot of people do that.
Yeah.
So we
Got
always
the momentum, and then,
the momentum, and then we start looking at other stuff, or we get involved with other stuff.
Well, but let's go back. Let me jump in because there's a reason why. Because nobody ever really spends enough time preparing for expansion in the business plan, and I am equally as guilty. That now we're in a phase at Community National Title and even Ebony Mitzvah where we're building, and we've had to adjust. Look, I've lost business in our greatest. When we was making the most money, I'm losing business because from an expansion perspective, we didn't have enough dope people to help, run stuff. Does that make sense? And I think it's just one of those things you have to experience. Because I always say, failure is the best teacher, right? You have to experience before you really understand it. And so I say that just to say it's okay as long as we can recover. And obviously, you've been able to do that. That's not an issue.
Yeah.
But we've all suffered from that. And coming out of this market that we've been in, now is the time to just kind of regroup and really understand the business piece of it. I just had somebody tell me, or tell one of my people, don't let Johnny come in if he's just gonna be preaching and stuff, right? We don't want to hear that mindset stuff. We want stuff that we can apply into our business directly.
Right.
Well, and look, no shade.
Uh-huh.
That's the stupidest thing I ever heard.
Right.
Let me tell you why. It's a $10 billion plan, real estate plan on the internet.
Uh-huh.
Go Google it and do it.
Sure.
You know why you don't? Because mentally you're not in the place
Absolutely. To go do that.
to go do it. So I
Absolutely.
always say, there's so many things that we have to juggle and keep in mind during this rise or this climb or this cycle of success. And I should call it a cycle because you're gonna have some good days and you're gonna have some bad days. I'll give you this. Now, I was telling you earlier about my little girl. My little girl is she's so dynamic. Both of my children are, but my daughter had some performances this past weekend and she crushed it, and she always does, right? But this morning I'm dropping her off for school, and it's like we in the middle of a full blown meltdown, and I'm literally like, babe, what's wrong? And I call her Little Boo. I said, Little Boo, what's wrong? So I end up like getting out of our little drop off line and going and parking in the parking lot. We sat there for about 20 minutes and we talked, and I'm doing my best to give her some fatherly love and just encouragement. And what it's done, she's just tired. Look, the ability to have long stretches of focus in the midst of a successful run, or in the midst of a business run, or in the midst of a catastrophic run, the ability to stay focused is a gift. It's an art. It's a craft. It's a skill. You have to work on it. And so I think what happens is it's very easy to get distracted, no matter how much success you're having or how much success you're not having. Look, you're a father, you're a husband, you're a son. We wear all these different hats or masks, and it's just tough. So I think we have to really, really get dialed in and in tune with what we need in order to keep the gravy train going, especially when you get it up and going. It's called efficacy. Like the ability to get something up and going is first of all, it's tough. And that's why Denzel is on top. Because once he got it up, that joker go back and do Broadway. People don't realize how difficult that is. But you're talking about somebody that has all the money in the world, that's already proven everything that it is, that needs to be proven to establish themselves on the Mount Rushmore of acting, right? And they still doing I watched the deal on 60 Minutes about Red Hot Chili Peppers.
I saw that too.
Oh man, that was amazing.
All those cats are 60 now.
When what's the not the lead guy, but
Flea,
not Flea, his buddy,
the lead singer,
when
the
that
singer
joker took his shirt off, I was like, oh man, I got to go over and do some abs, man. This joker, dude, they're killing it in every aspect. Right now they struggle and they probably suck in some areas, but body of work, Mariah Carey, right? Because we're gonna have some bad. The body of work is unmatched, man. They still making new music, and they could easily go out and do a Lionel Richie,
right?
And Lionel have made a lot of money,
right?
But Lionel concerts ain't never looked like Red Hot Chili Pepper concerts, So I think it's just about being very secure, in our own lane, and just continuing to do the work, and don't get distracted by what other people are doing. In our profession, and this is one of the downfalls of social media, we get so caught up, in what other people are doing, we start to compare ourselves to other folks. Well, you don't. I didn't watch the Grammys, but my wife is on the board of the Grammys. You know what I mean? We've been around the Grammys. I'm sick of the Grammys. You understand? It's like people have different experiences and different reasons and different platforms and different starting points and different. You got to remember that, and you have to be careful how we compare ourselves to other folks. Otherwise, you're just self-sabotaging, right? You dope all by yourself, right? You dope like kind of like my first, stand-up gig. Like,
listen, let's talk about that real quick. Let's so we can make sure everybody understands that, and then we can start this again. So let me
all
first
the church folks you had on the front row,
and a lot of those people still praying for you,
and they was real judgy,
and they still praying for you
because they was cussing me.
Well, no, they weren't cussing you. They were wondering were you having some kind of crisis.
It gave me. I actually enjoyed it.
Well, you know what's funny about it?
It gave me Kanye.
It gave you some Kanye. It gave you. It was. It. You know what? It did have some Kanye too. So to where you were concerned
I
about.
think me and my brother in the back, we were dying.
You were dying for. Okay. You were. Were you Were you dying?
I was laughing, but then never since I'm like,
So let me tell you, let me say it seriously. Let me tell you.
First of all, let's reset. Let's reset so they know. I want everybody to know what we're talking about. So we brought the comedy show back just for one night a few years ago, and it was actually for my birthday. We did a birthday thing.
Was it for your birthday?
It was my birthday. I think.
I don't remember being for your birthday.
I don't know.
I
think
it was for you, but I don't know.
Well, whatever it was, we did it, and we invited Johnny to be one of the special guest comedians, and this is gonna be his first time doing
That's
it.
not what happened.
We did invite
He
you to be.
called me. He said, "Hey man, I want you to sponsor this."
That's what he. Oh.
But then,
and I
yes,
said, "I'll only sponsor if I get to do the stand up."
Oh, okay.
He said, "You'll do it." He said, "Well, that was easy. This is gonna be a meltdown." I remember exactly what he said.
Oh, he was ready.
Yeah.
so I knew it was gonna be entertaining either way, right? Either he's gonna be good or is he gonna be terrible, and either way it was gonna work, right? We were gonna be entertained.
Had you ever done stand up? Okay.
Not at all.
He had never done. No, you couldn't tell he had never done stand up. So everything went really well, and we had other guests who had first doing it at that time. There was a minister from Concord. That's why he's saying all the church people were there. S. Michael Green, who's a associate minister at Concord. So needless to say, a lot of people showed up for him. And then Dion Britton, Dallas, as most people know him. He was there. And
You had a couple of like real comics, I think, too.
And then a couple of and two professional comics.
Yeah.
And so it was cool. And they all went, and then we let Johnny come up.
We ended with him, right?
We ended with Johnny. Johnny was I don't know what I was thinking there. I messed that up. So I shouldn't have done that. I messed the order up.
Hey man, I'm used to being the anchor. Don't worry.
So Johnny was the anchor. He used to be an anchor on the track, but he also just talked about how he lost that one that he dead last. But so he was last, and so we put him up, and I think the first two jokes were actually pretty good. And then he went into this. Well, let me just say from my perspective. Then he went into.
His Kanye rant.
Yeah, it was very Kanye like, not anti-Semitic and no foolishness like that.
Nothing.
But it was more like you were like he was talking about God, and then you were like, well, does he know God? Does he? Then you were like, he need Christ.
Well, let me tell you what
I
happened.
think he had a point.
No, I know I had a point.
But
Let me
it just
tell you.
didn't come across.
Okay, then thank you, but
let me tell you what
okay.
happened. So in the beginning, it was great, right? Here's what's funny. You know, I'm saying great. That's an overstatement. It wasn't ever great. But
Yeah, I was gonna let you make it on. It was
But
serviceable.
Winston is in the back.
Okay.
So maybe 4 minutes in, Winston was like, "Cut,
Oh, he's telling you to
Quick.
shut it down.
stop, walk off high." And then I said something around the line of, man, it seems like there's a lot of church people here, right?
And that's when the wheels start
Church
falling.
folk, that's when I realized, oh, all these people are church people. See, I didn't realize that, right?
Okay.
So I just,
So what was the problem? You were gonna be Red Fox, and then you had to change your set. What happened?
I guess so, man. I don't really know. It was kind of, I hate to be compared to Kanye, but it did take I remember specifically, and I went down this church vibe. And but see, I'm a little demented from the standpoint of, I love seeing people, you know, kind of like,
kind of squirming and like.
so I'm watching the church folk, and as I'm talking about them, you know,
Real
it's
uncomfortable.
the older, it's two older ladies to my left. They losing it.
Okay.
It's a couple of other ones to my right. You know, one of them is literally flicking me off under her shawl, like she's giving me the bird. You know what I mean? Like this is not cool.
Right.
Like you insulting the church. You doing this and that or whatever.
Right.
So you know, look, man, let's do it again.
Well, that was the plan.
Yeah,
we're supposed to do it again. So
and it was awful. Like I'll admit, but I'll tell you this. Let me tell you what I learned from that. First of all,
and y'all listen. So when we set this up, and we're going to announce that we're going to do this again. By the way, I don't want y'all when you see that Johnny's going to be there. I don't want you to be like, "Nah, he ain't going. He terrible." Johnny's got enough resources. I'm sure he's gonna call Shucky Ducky or somebody, have him write his material this time. He'll be better
Get a little coaching.
this go round. He gonna get coached up because
Top of the head.
It is no way.
Off the top of the head.
Nah, he ain't doing that. He's not doing
Jay-Z,
that.
baby.
Yeah, okay. So don't not
JB
come
with a
because
little
of that.
Tupac if it's some church ball in the front row.
Listen, just do your set and you'll be fine. So let's do this.
I'm with it, man. I'm with it. I mean, get your date, bro. I'm waiting on you.
See how you doing.
I mean, that's the way it was the first time. Or the second time. Get your date when it works. Let's figure out our I hate to go back and I'm gonna tell you something. When John and those guys did it at where they did it, it was actually perfect.
Right, because they were at the improv.
But I would much rather us do something where we can keep the money and give it to charity.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
I like that.
Now, let me tell you something. Another reason why theirs was so good. Everybody was full. There was a lot of alcohol being drunk.
Oh yeah.
And see,
And so
that dawned on me when I was watching them. I was thinking, oh no.
They were too uptight.
And you were great, for the record. I never told you that. But see, I didn't understand your relationship with comedy.
Right.
I was pleasant. I thought we was all going to just to be a debacle. You know what I mean?
I was surprised. I didn't know.
Yeah, you were great. I knew you had like a, you know what I mean? You got like a little funny bone sometimes, you know, whatever, right? But you were great.
That sounds like isn't that a hater type? Isn't that a hater type?
A little shade.
Yeah. Like an Eagles fan talking about the Cowboys. You know, they kind of, I know they got 5
technically-
championships.
Technically, it would be the opposite.
Well, I'm talking about in general, until now, you know.
You did great, man. And I thought it was so. We should do that. You know, we should do that, and we should do it probably in April because it's tight now. We're gonna lose a lot of stuff to.
Ooh, you know what? What about like Good Friday?
Nah.
No.
You don't want to insult the Lord.
How's that insulting?
Lord,
It's on
Well-
Easter Sunday.
raise the dead. You know?
But I think April would be good.
Let's figure it out.
Yeah, let's do April.
Let's figure it out.
February, yeah, March would be 2.
Yeah,
let's
that's
do
too
April. We can do that.
So
And
we
then
just need to find a venue, and then
you need to find a venue that will also serve alcohol to help your situation.
well, it'll help our situation because we're gonna charge money.
Okay. Gotcha.
Comedy is not appropriate in the business talk. Of
Okay.
get them together. You know?
So we need to find an outlet who we want to, what charitable association we want to hook up with, and then we come up with a date. We get everybody to come back out. I mean, we'll yeah, this will be good. My only concern is
I mean, get to the punchline.
no. I want you to. You need to do whatever you need to do. Don't rely on yourself to pull it together, right? So if you need to get some help writing the stuff for you, whatever, delivery is still fine.
Al,
They say
Al,
Drake. Somebody write Drake stuff.
I'm not an alcoholic, man.
Okay.
Okay, you treating me like I need to go to a twist.
Okay. No. I'm sorry. I don't mean to do that, but I want you to do. I want you to do well. I want you to do well
appreciate
because it'll be more people there this time too, and so more people.
I actually just thought about it. I was like, ooh, man, if we do it this time, it's gonna pack the house.
Yeah.
And this is also like a revenge tour.
Oh, this is a revenge tour or.
Revenge tour, you know.
Well, I don't know about a revenge tour. Is that the phrase for it?
Yeah.
Or is this just be your comeback?
Just follow me.
This will be your comeback.
It's not about me. It's about the fact that Muhammad and his crew
I got jumped
did
out there.
such a great, and they did a
that's the
great
revenge.
job, right? So we got to be dope. So
Yeah.
see, you thought it ain't about me.
Yeah.
You know, it's just about the greater good.
Here's the deal. We'll make sure we have some. Because I think all the comics there.
We're gonna do all real estate people. We got to do all real estate people. They did all real estate people, and it was great. Now, what I found out is they rehearsed. You know, they did a lot of prep work.
That's kind of what people do before they get in front of people.
I
So that's
understand.
apparently what you did not do. You didn't understand that I might need to practice this.
You didn't even practice on your wife, kids,
Nothing.
nobody?
Nah.
My wife actually said, "Now, what are you doing?" She was out of town that day. It was
Oh,
funny.
okay.
She's like, "Now, what are you doing?"
I'm sure she's glad she wasn't
Lord.
there. She probably would thank God I wasn't there.
Hey man, I thoroughly enjoyed myself.
I can tell you felt no.
No, I felt it. I'm not a narcissist. I mean, I felt it,
Right.
but I'm okay in that. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like I enjoyed it. It was fun.
Okay.
It was fun.
Well, we will do that again. So, all right. So let's put a wrap here. We've been long enough. So here's and we'll let everybody kind of give their final point for people. So anybody who, whether you're a real estate agent, teacher in the classroom who wants to advance, become maybe assistant principal, whatever, whoever you are, I believe the most important thing, not the most important thing, a critical thing, because being really good at what you do is probably the most important thing. But next to that, you have to have the ability to influence others through the telling of your story and the display of your skill set. So in other words, I need to influence you all to think that I need to be somewhere else, a higher place. I need to be advanced. The company needs to keep me. I need you to understand that. I need to influence you in such a way that that's the way you feel and believe that wholeheartedly. And I need to do it in a way to where I'm putting my skill set on display, right? I need to find a platform, a way for you to see it. I can't just be dope over here by myself in the corner, because it doesn't work. I need enough people to see that, oh, this cat is the real deal.
Real deal.
And then they, through influence, will help open doors to other people and other opportunities. So the thing is influence, in my opinion, is what will get you where you need to go. So if I'm influential enough as an actor, as a person, so everybody in there, all these cats can act and all that stuff, but I need to be influential enough in the minds of people who have access to get me to ahead of the line, ahead of all those people. I need somebody to be like, I like him enough to put him in front of the right people, ahead of these other folks, right? That's what every real estate agent needs to be trying to figure out. You know, this market is there'll be fewer transactions this year, but if you increase your market share, there's no way for you to lose, right? It's all about increasing market share. And you increase market share through influence.
Fewer transactions, but prices are going up.
Correct. That is true. That is a good point. Fewer transactions, but as long as you have more transactions because your market share is increased, it's all good. It works. So what everybody really needs to be thinking about, how do I become more influential? If you figure that out, you good.
I love that, Al. I often tell people in this bit of a jerk comment, but I tell people I don't stand in lines.
Okay.
Just don't, right? If I go somewhere and there's a line,
Mm-hmm.
maybe every now and then I have to go to every now and then.
Okay.
But influence turns into impact.
Mm-hmm.
And so I love what you're saying, because as you understand the power of influence, you'll realize that if you're talking right and you're doing right, it becomes impactful for people. And not only will you not have to stand in line, because somebody will see you and say,
Mm-hmm.
hey, come through. I got
Mm-hmm.
12 with me. It's all good. Come through.
Uh-huh.
Does that make sense?
Uh-huh.
So it's like just understanding that and then taking advantage of it, and then being a great steward of it.
Uh-huh.
Being a great steward of it. We started off by talking about chasing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the end goal, as we discussed, is how it'll flip.
Mm-hmm.
You'll no longer have to chase. You'll become a magnet
Mm-hmm.
for what you worked for. And I can honestly tell you that that has really been the case in my life. And I say that from a place of humility and a place of real servitude, because I'm grateful for it, and I'm still working to even develop that even more. But there are just certain things at this stage of my life that don't apply to me anymore. They applied when I was starting off, but at this stage, I'm okay with saying, no, we're probably not going to stand in line. We're probably not going to stand in line because A, we're going to pay the fee to where we don't have to,
Mm-hmm.
or we'll know somebody. We'll have relationship, an influential relationship with somebody that can make it work for us. So I think that's what it's about.
Mm-hmm.
And I think from a real estate perspective, although I'm in the title world, I've watched a lot of realtors stop developing relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And that is cancer to your business.
Mm-hmm.
It's cancer to your success and just cancer to your growth, in general. So I just say, just continue to work on your business, continue to grow your network. Make sure that you have phenomenal networks in many different places, not just in real estate, but in many different places. And I think things will turn out great. It's just a matter of just doing the work.
Absolutely. Benita?
Oh, am I ending this? Because I feel like we should end with Johnny for sure. No, he's a great encore. But no, I was going to say, there's this saying, I don't remember who I heard it from, talking about building relationships, especially when you're in the sales and really any business. But they say the more hands you shake, the more money you make. But also on top of that, like he was saying, being a good steward, like be a good person, treat people, well, because that really, I know, me personally, I always try to treat people well and, do good. And 9 times out of 10, people come to me all the time like, oh, she's a good person. And they just want to work with me or, be around me or whatever, because how you treat people, how you make them feel. And like you said, for the ladies in Target, those experiences and everything like that, they're going to come to you regardless. You may not be the smartest person in the room or the most likable or, whatever, but, if the way you make somebody feel really helps as well.
Without a doubt. That's what they want. And as long as you go through life understanding that you don't get to get, but you give to get, right. it all works out. So that influence is if I have an opportunity to do something that will benefit Johnny, benefit Benita, benefit Marcella, and I'm attuned to that, and I figure out, okay, how I'm going to find a way that they benefit from this. And if you become that person that everybody seems to, if they're around you or associated with you, their life is better for that, you're good.
That's the key.
Yeah, you're good. So, well, I thank you all for checking us out today. Again, if you have any real estate needs whatsoever, we, the fine folks at Monument Realty, in particular Miss Benita Love and Marcella Robles, who's our producer, but also a real estate agent at Monument.
Producer extraordinaire.
Yes. Would love an opportunity at your business. And so we will also be announcing pretty soon a date for this comedy extravaganza where Johnny Collins will come back.
We're going to announce a date. Hold on a second.
Okay, well, here we go.
The calendar.
By the 10th. That's Friday of this week.
Okay, so by the 10th, we will have
12 o'clock.
I love deadlines.
Okay, you love deadlines. So we will have that announced, venue and all, and so we'll be ready to roll on that. But I thank you all for listening to us. We know you didn't have to, but if you like what you heard, tell other people about the show, and we'll be back next week with a brand new edition.
You got to share, like, and click. Tell them to share, like, and click.
Oh, that's what I'm supposed to say. You got to share, like, and click. Subscribe. Do all those things they saying. Do that.
Notifications on.
All right. Y'all have a good one. Thank you.
All right. God bless.